Okay, so this video is mostly going to be about mouse acceleration, but I'm also going to touch on graphical frame rate problems with Watch Dogs. What I've got here is a Razer DA 2013 on a Corsair mouse mat. So this is a very precise mouse. It's at 1600 DPI. In Windows options, control panel is set around half. So yeah, there's no problems aiming with this mouse. I'm going to show you a clip of Battlefield just to show you an example of my aiming ability. Okay, so yeah, the main game I play is very aiming intensive. That game being guns. You need perfect aiming to be competitive. So we know quite a bit about accuracy and just mouses and stuff. But yeah, this doesn't really apply to Watch Dogs when you have this mouse acceleration that I mentioned. What it is people believe that if you turn mouse smoothing to 0 in the configs, that it fixes the problems, but actually it does not fix the problem. I've got to find. So you go in here. Use mouse smooth 0, smoothness 0. So people think that if you have that set like that, it disables the mouse acceleration. In fact, it doesn't. We'll go into the game. Yeah, as I said, my aiming is basically perfect in other games. Right, just let it load. I'm actually loading it off of a hard drive, not an SSD. Running it on ultra settings with quite high anti-aliasing, 8 times MSAA, so it's pretty taxing on the computer. We've got down here is a meter which shows GPU temperature, utilization and frame rate. So at the moment I'm getting 40 frames per second. Sometimes it drops below 30, usually at night, like driving at night. When you're turning, you tend to get a bit of slight lag as well, a slight pause on it. Okay, so I'm going to drive somewhere now where I can actually use the gun without all the police coming. Okay, so I've driven down to some random place where I can use my weapons. I mostly drive in this game actually. I like to drive around, so I use the controller, just a standard Xbox controller. And yeah, I like to drive in first person view, so looking inside the car, like when you see the steering wheel and stuff. So I think that's quite a cool aspect of the game. But I started trying to get into the story missions and stuff a bit last night, so rather than just driving around all the time. So that's when I started to notice this mouse problem. So yeah, I'll get a weapon out if possible. How do I do it? Scrolling doesn't seem to do the job. Press 2 and 3. Okay. But we've got silence whistle, right. Yeah, so immediately this feels quite sticky. So I can fairly easily move between 2 points, but I'm finding that my aiming is actually off. Sometimes it's overshooting, but if I try and move and then move around like precisely, what's happening is the speed at which it's moving is very, very slow. I don't know if you can see, but it's really not moving a lot, and this is how much I'm moving the mouse. Like, considerable amount. But the main way you can tell that this is a problem is if you take aim at something, so that middle rock there, and then, well, first you got to get the mouse to the edge of your pad, get it lined up again, and then push the mouse fairly quickly to the other side of the pad, so like that, and see where you end up. So a full circle brings us around about 1.6 times when I move the mouse reasonably quickly. So now what I'm going to do is move the mouse very, very slowly in the same distance. So here we go. Move it very slowly all the way across. Remember, we managed to move it 1.6 times of a full circle before, and we'll find that because of the mouse acceleration, that's not going to happen this time. Sped up a bit too much there, but there we go. So we're at the end of the mouse pad, and we've managed to move about 110 degrees. So it wasn't even half a circle compared to 1.6 times before, and that makes it quite difficult to aim. There was a vending machine somewhere that I found that was quite good for aiming practice, so I'll try and find it again. Okay, so I drove around for like half an hour. I found this vending machine, so I can show. So I should be able to hit these packets of crisps every single time. Not really that hard. If I walk a bit further back, I should be able to hit them every time, but because of the mouse, I tried this last night, because of the mouse acceleration, it's quite difficult. What the fuck? Doesn't help that I'm holding the camera, but I don't think it would make much difference. I'm not filming it properly. I mean, I'm having to compensate for the mouse acceleration, which feels very unnatural. I seem to have infinite bullets in this thing. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about was the frame rate. Even though the game's been downgraded, the graphics are not as good as they were supposed to be. The game still looks pretty decent, considering it's an open world game as well. The thing with shooters is they generally have smaller levels, so it's kind of easier to get the graphical quality, but something like this, it's not as easy. But yes, even so, it does run quite badly. So my FPS is about 40 at the moment. 43. It usually sits around 45, but it can. I mean, it can drop to 30 sometimes. I've seen it drop to 25, but that's usually for sort of like a couple of seconds. It's like a brief period. It's not so much like constant, so it's kind of hard to reproduce it. But I also do get some stutters and stuff, so I've opened up my case so that you can have a look at the hardware. Okay, so I've got an i5 in here, i5 4670K at 4.4 gigahertz with that's the Scythe Mugen 3 cooler. It's quite a decent cooler. It's not the best, but it's quite decent. That's the 780 wind force, and I've overclocked it to 1135 megahertz. The memory's at 7 gigahertz, so it's a fairly decent graphics card. It's not the best. The TI is slightly better, but this is, this is high-end hardware. You won't find much better than that. I've got an Asus sound card as well, and this has Dolby Digital, so I use that with the game, and that helps a lot because it basically emulates surround sound, so you get positional awareness. It separates the sounds out more. It just sounds more realistic. It helps with immersion. This PSU sucks. Don't get this. I need to get a new one. This makes a ticking noise when the power levels are low. So when the power draws like less than half, it makes this sort of ticking noise. It's not that loud, but it's louder than the fans. So yeah, I'm not running the game off an SSD. I'm using a Seagate hard drive. So I've got two Seagate hard drives here, and then my SSD is tucked under here. But I don't have that much space left on it, so I'm using the hard drives instead. but they're quite fast. These new Seagate hard drives are about 150 megabytes per second, so they're pretty fast. But yeah, this level of performance is not great. I mean, for people that have 120 hertz monitors, they're going to be disappointed. As I said, I've got all the graphics up to maximum. I think it could be something to do with motion blur and special effects, because it seems to be worse when I'm moving, or it could be because of the pop in, the loading and stuff. It's difficult to say.